Since this lockdown is under application, it was like personally I was really feeling that because my whole schedule totally changed. I used to be a very hard worker guy, and now locked in the house, what do I do? So I'm kind of calling you guys and talking. Sleep has dramatically got disturbed because of whatever sudden changes have happened to our life. It was important that, and almost 60% patients who used to come to us and meet, everyone has to have some or the other questions related to the sleep. So it looks like it's a pretty common issue, and then we need to be at least raising our voices in educating people regarding this. So when it comes to sleep, I would just say, normally 7 to 8 hours everyone has to sleep, which simply means one third of your day goes into the sleep. In turn, one third of your life goes into the sleep. I was just looking for what is the average Indian life nowadays. In 2020, the average Indian life is 69.7 years. So averagely, this much we live. Now, I don't know what will happen in 2021 because we are already undergoing something serious right now. Okay, so it simply means 23 years a person has to sleep if he has to live for 69.7 years. Okay, so why sleep is important? Because sleep is like a system reboot. You use your computer or in fact all the machines, you have to switch them off, right? And if you don't switch them off, you keep on using them. What's happening to them? The life of the machine is getting shorter. Now that's the machine which we can repair. Humans we can't repair, right? So sleeping becomes so important that it needs to reboot our whole body, muscles, the brain, the nervous system, the hormones. Everything has to be refreshed. So that's how important this sleep is. Okay, so why sleep is important for a sports person? Sports persons usually, if they do not sleep enough, they cannot perform. Okay, so we used to study all this. There is a chemical called melatonin, which is produced in the brain, and it responds to the light and dark. Okay, so if someone, let's say, it's a day in India, and someone flies for 17 hours, okay, and then lands to the other country, and there is day again, and because there is a day, they might have a match, right? And they haven't slept enough because they haven't gone through the night. That becomes problem, right? So their performance gets affected. Now for this, actually matches are actually arranged in this way only, so that their sleep is not getting disturbed. The dates of the matches are planned like that, so that their melatonin is released enough, they are able to sleep well and they can perform better. Okay, so it's never that they're going to land there and the same day, or maybe the next day the match is there. They have at least like 2 3 days of gap for this, because the sports industry knows the importance of sleep. Okay, so for the working population, like us, like you, everyone is under stress. uh, if we don't sleep enough, the stress becomes higher and higher because the brain irritates. Similarly, the sleep actually affects our memory as well. So what happens to the memory is, we have a short-term memory and a long-term memory, right? So a short-term memory can only consolidate into a long-term memory if you have slept enough. And you might have, there must be some people who kind of keep forgetting things here and there. They keep looking tired throughout the day. They have to actually go and go deeply and dig it into their sleep patterns. They need to know how much they are sleeping, how well they are sleeping, what kind of a surface they are using for sleep. All that needs to be rectified, because sleep helps building up the memory. It calms down the stress. Okay, so pain. For chronic pain, the sleep becomes very important, because what's happening in chronic pain is, the nervous system is highly irritated, and when the sleep is not enough, we are not able to relax the brain, which is the master of the whole nervous system, and then comes your spinal cord and other things. So because the brain perceives the pain, if brain does not receive pain, you will never feel pain. It's like that. Okay, so to have if you don't have a refreshed brain, chronic pain becomes a trouble. I mean, very simple. If anyone who comes with a neck pain, who says like 2 months 3 months old, I straight away ask, are you sleeping enough? How well you are sleeping? Because quality and quantity both matters. So as I said, chronic pain, very important that we need to be fixing the sleep also. Now for the diabetes, so what happens is if you're not sleeping enough, the insulin production gets disturbed and you fall prey to type 2 diabetes. Okay, if there is type 2 diabetes coming, high sugar levels coming, obesity is coming. So sleep is definitely connected to your weight loss. So if someone is not able to get effective weight loss in spite of all the hard work they're doing, we can simply blame, or we can at least dig it out, is there a problem in their sleeper pattern or something? Okay, the next one is for the hormone regulation. Now I was talking about this, the diabetes bit and trying to connect obesity. The sleep actually regulates our hunger hormones as well. Now, when you do not sleep enough, what's happening is you do not feel full in your stomach. So the fullness feeling is gone. Okay, and you tend to then overeat and making you obese again. So these were the small points which I wanted to bring to put some weightage to today's topic, that how important the sleep is. Today I have prepared a little presentation through which we'll go through and we'll try to understand how we can actually go deep into finding problems with the sleep and how we can correct it as well. So let me share the screen with you. So as I said, sleep has few components. One is what kind of surface you sleep on, what kind of a duration you sleep with, how long you sleep basically, and then what positions you acquire for sleeping, because then it is very well connected to your aches and pains and muscle issues and all that. And then lastly, it's about the quality of sleep. How do we kind of improve the quality of sleep? What's wrong with the quality of sleep then? Okay, so first is the sleeping surface. Now I see most of the people, because they want to get extra comfort, they actually get a spring mattresses, okay, which are ultra soft. And now what happens to our spine is the spine is like a S-shaped curve, which has to be supported in the hollow areas. So the hollow areas are around the neck, so this part, and the hollow areas are also around the lower back, which is this part. So these are areas which needs to be supported. Sorry, and just be approving this waiting room. Yeah. So as I was saying, spring mattresses are the favorable mattresses for everyone because they feel that there is extra comfort in them. They are ultra soft and all that. And even if you don't buy it at home, whenever you go to the hotels, that's the problem which is coming. Okay. So what happens with this ultra soft mattresses is your spine is like a S-shaped structure where there are hollows around the lower back and the neck. And those are the two areas where we need to be supporting them. Now, whether you lie down, you sit or stand, this S-shaped structure needs to be maintained. When you have ultra soft mattresses, what's happening is this S-shaped structure is sinking from between. So if I have to make the person lie down, this is how they are. And if the mattress is ultra soft, this is how they kind of sag in like that. Okay, so this S becomes almost like a C. Now, when the spine is not into natural curvature, a lot of ligaments and muscles are into strain and it causes problems. So this is the problem which happens when you have spring mattresses. I would recommend, if you go to a hotel or something, and if you're finding these kind of mattresses which are not comfortable to you, you should always order an extra mattress which can be kept on the floor and you kind of sleep onto. I get a lot of patients when they come after travel and the pain gets flared up and I have to really scratch my head, why the pain is kind of increasing. This is the reason most of the time when they're traveling. Yeah. So normally a good mattress, I mean, forget about the name orthopedic mattress structure because I was not getting other images. Most of the orthopedic mattresses, they actually have a fixed curvatures to support your spine. The problem with those curvatures are because they are very fixed. They are not customized to how you are. Okay. So that's why I normally don't recommend orthopedic mattresses, which has natural, they claim that they have natural curves to support your spine and all that. Please ignore the name, but actually look at the picture here. What we are talking about is what can be a good mattress for you. So a good mattress should have almost like two layers where you have almost like 4 or 5 inches of the layer, which is like a hard foam base. And there should be at least 2 inches of layer, which is kind of with of a memory foam or a soft layer of foam, because the hard layer will not allow your spine to sink, and the soft layer will actually adjust to the curvature of your spine. And that's how you can select how good or bad a mattress can be. Okay, so you can actually today kind of cross check what kind of a mattress you have. Last thing is, you can always assess, is your mattress over or it still has some life. Early morning when you get up after like sleeping for 7-8 hours on the mattress, simply get up and go in line with your mattress. Your eye needs to go in line with your mattress like that, and observe the surface. Is it like totally straight or it's kind of still sinking in? A bad mattress will actually not change its shape when you come out of it, because because of your body weight, it will still look like a U shape like that. So it simply means it's time to change the mattress. Otherwise, mattresses, they ideally should regain their shape as soon as you get up from them. Now we talk about sleeping positions, because that also matters when it comes to good sleep. Now, this is a guy who's sleeping with a high pillow. If you notice, there is no support around the lower neck. The support is more on the head only. So throughout the night when this guy is sleeping, these muscles are hanging in the air and getting into spasm, because throughout the night you wanted to rest, but your muscles are actually working. Similarly, when you're actually seeing the lower back area, this area is also unsupported. Okay. So when it is unsupported, the whole night, the muscles are in strain. The curvature of the lumbar spine is, or the lower back is altered or modified, keeping your spine stiff. Normally, when you do not get a good sleep, as soon as you'll get up early morning, you'll find the lower back or neck pretty stiff. It simply means the position of your sleep is not good enough, or maybe the sleeping surface is not fine, or maybe, as I said, it's going to come in future, the sleep quality or duration is a problem. This is how ideally the sleep needs to be. So which simply means we need to be having a pillow which is supported more around the neck, and the head is just rested backwards. So important is that the pillow should be supporting the neck, not the head. Now, if you look at this, this is a cervical pillow, and I'm not saying that everyone should be getting a cervical pillow. You can get a simple pillow, and what you try to do is just have a towel roll which can be supported under the neck area, which will throughout the night give a nice support around the lower back. Now in this picture, we can see a support around the lower back as well, which I would say not needed if your mattress is good. This kind of a position is needed when you have a really hard mattress and you're not able to support your lower back like that. Now, when you are in actually chronic pain or acute pain, either around the lower back or around the knee, so a support around the knee can help, because when you raise your knee up, the lower back curvature gets little flattened and the muscles get supported well. Also for the knee, when you don't have a pillow, the knee is totally straight and locked. So people who have knee pain, throughout the night, the knee starts getting irritated. So a support around the knee can really help and give comfort to the knee as well. Now this is how you mostly people sleep on their side, and I would say not even that. We are almost like semi-reclined, where your arm is somewhere else, the leg is somewhere else and all that. This is still nice. But what we are observing here still is very simple. There is no curvature or no support around the neck area using the pillow. The pillow looks too high, or some people actually have a very flat pillow which keeps the neck dropped like that. That can also sprain your neck. And you'll see, most of the people when they get up, there's like one side is totally free and other side is quite into huge spasm. It is because we are not supporting the neck enough. So here also what I advise is a towel roll which goes right around this area, and the head needs to be supported well. Okay. Now, if you notice around the lower back, the lower back is trying to sag in like this. Okay, the hip is into too much of inward movement, so it can cause you irritations around the hip. It can cause you irritations around the lower back as well. What we can do for this is, we can have a support like that. Now, please ignore the support which is given here, because as I said, this is only when the surface is hard. If you have a good mattress, it will automatically adjust to the surfaces like that. Anyways, coming back to the pillow and around the neck, you see there is a curvature which really supports the neck muscles and relaxes, and the head is coming onto the pillow. So pillow is majorly for the neck, not for the head. Okay. We need a right kind of a pillow which doesn't allow your neck to fall down or keep it too high like that. Okay. So that ways this real support can help. You can also have a pillow between the knees, because it really keeps your hip bone straight and stable. So there will be no issues around the hip then. Okay. Also, the lower lumbar spine will remain straight if you have a support right here. So that's why it becomes important. Now, for some people, the issue is, they keep on changing their positions. So they may be lying down straight and they have to suddenly change the position. So when they lie down straight, the pillow can be totally thin, soft, and easy. But when you lie on your side, you need a pillow which raises your height like that. Otherwise, okay, so if you have a high pillow lying down straight like that, the head will go like this, which is a problem, right? So when you lie down straight, you need a pillow which adjusts to the curvature like that. So you need a thin pillow. I mean, I need a thin pillow like that. Now, but when you lie on your side like this, then what's happening is, if the pillow is too low, the head falls like that. If the pillow is too high, the head is totally like that. It's not straight. So to make it straight, we need a good amount of pillow. Now in the night, we cannot keep changing the pillows like that. So I'll just give you what formula I apply for myself. I usually decide what is my normal, like a common position. So I normally sleep on my right side. So what I do is, when I lie straight on my back, I keep a thin pillow and I keep a cushion right next to me on the right side. So whenever I have to turn, my head totally goes onto the double pillow like that. So I don't disturb my sleep and I'm able to kind of easily go into the support on a very supported neck. So that's how I decide, how to sleep. You can also find your own way, or maybe try the way I sleep and let me know if it's helping out. Now, the way this guy is sleeping is actually head downwards. I normally do not recommend this because it is very harmful for your spine and your neck as well. It's very difficult. I think, including me, most of the people, they can only go to the sleep when they lie down like that and all that. These things happens, yes. But it is just about the habit. I change my habit and also you cannot change it. Okay. Now the problem with this kind of a sleep is the neck is totally rolled like that and all the joints around the neck is totally compressed. This can really make you trouble. So do really take care of, whenever you sleep like this, maybe sleep for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, not more than that. I do not recommend whole night you sleeping in this kind of a position. Now, next comes is duration, because how long you sleep also becomes very important. I just actually downloaded this chart. This was from National Sleep Foundation. I don't know which nation it was, but it was a good demonstration. So I actually included this. So the recommended sleep of ours is, you just don't have to go too much deep into it. We just have to see, as an infant, we need to be sleeping longer, like 14 hours, 17 hours. And as we are growing up, the sleeping hours keeps reducing. So from the adolescent age to the mature age, the average is 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Now, with 7 to 8 hours of sleep and trying to have not much disturbance in between is the healthy way of sleeping. So that way it really becomes important. When we actually recommend, we are recommending to masses. So it is an average of 7 to 8 hours. If you see, up to 5 or 6 hours is also okay and 9 hours is also okay. Beyond that is a problem, right? So every individual is different. Some people feel refreshed under 6 hours. Some people doesn't feel refreshed even with 9 hours also. Sleeping duration is important because in the lockdown, we are oversleeping. We are surely oversleeping. And we are not sleeping on time as well. So we are really disturbing our biological clock. Someone is sleeping at 1 p.m., 1 a.m. in the night. My cousin sleeps at 3 a.m. Can you beat it? Once he's going to go back to his work, he has to get up at 7 o'clock and suddenly go again. Issues are going to come because we are not really disturbing our biological clock like that. Now let's talk about the sleep quality. The sleep quality simply means, obviously duration also comes into the sleep quality, but it is about the deep sleep as well. So what you need for a good quality sleep is a dark room like that, right? Really dark room, because if you have slightest of the light source, the melatonin in the brain keeps activated, okay? And it doesn't allow the brain to rest totally. So that's why dark room becomes really important. Now, there is something important, which is a deep sleep. If you averagely sleep for 7 to 8 hours, the deep sleep needs to be at least for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Now, if you see these lines, this is actually EEG of the brain, where we have divided the waves like that. Now, when someone is awake, the waves are called beta, where you'll find the amplitude is higher and the frequency is higher and amplitude is soft. Okay, and as you go into deep sleep, and the deep sleep is actually delta 1 hertz to 3 hertz, which this is the reading of your brain when you're sleeping deeply. It's the fourth and third stage of your sleep. So here what's happening is the brain activity is really less and you're actually into deep sleep. So really becomes important. As I said, deep sleep is majorly important because you have to consolidate your memory, which simply means your short-term memory restores into long-term memory when you go into deep sleep. And let's go to the next image. Exercises becomes very important. Yeah. Okay, so I put an image, but it's gone, so it's okay. But what I'm just trying to talk about is when it comes to exercises, we are not saying that right before the sleep you need to be exercising, but at least you should become physically active because that helps you sleeping, and majorly the deep sleep comes from exercises. Now we are looking for moderate exercises where you can include your walking, jogging, swimming. I mean, right now we have to be really indoor, but what you have to do is, can you do on-spot cardiovascular activities like skipping can be done, jumping jacks can be done, some planks, push-ups, and for the strength training can be done. What I'm just trying to say is, don't do these things within 1 or 2 hours when you are about to sleep, because the brain goes into hyper excitatory mode and it will not allow you to sleep. So morning exercises, evening 5 o'clock exercises, doable. You know, we can be doing them because that helps you calming down and going into sleep. When you go close to your sleep, what we have to do is, you know, the way we do exercises. So what you do is like a warm up, then you do exercise, then you cool down, right? So cool down can be picked up before you sleep. So there can be easy, comfortable mobility exercises, stretches can be done, your breath training can be done. You know, long, deep breaths can help really calming down your heart rate. It can calm down your stress of the throughout the day, and you'll be able to sleep. Now, as you're seeing in this on the screen, sleep quality helps in memory consolidation and brain health, which I already told you that how important it is. So that's how this show ends, and we just stop the share part. Yeah. So hope I was able to kind of provide as much information I had regarding this sleep. Now I would like to take some questions. Anyone who wants to talk about anything related to this topic today, please go on. Unmute your mic and you can talk about it.
So sideways sleeping is the best posture to sleep, is it?
Sideways sleeping is best, ma'am. And when it comes to disc issues, you know, acute back pains and all that, we normally recommend people to have a fetal position. Fetal means, you know, when a child lie down on their side, the knees are almost into their stomach and they sleep, right? So that's normally the best position where the pressure on your spine is the least. So that's why we normally recommend sleeping on your side with your knees little bent up roughly like a 90 degrees or so, and a pillow between the knees.
Pillow between the knees.
Yeah, pillow between the knees helps because your upper thigh bone is totally adducted like that, causing a lot of blood flow restrictions around your hip. The muscle can get irritated, and it can even side shift your spine. Okay, but you know, all these things are more hit and trials. So when you try, you have to find your own way of sleeping, because when you suddenly change things, you can start scolding me as well. You know, I used to sleep nicely, but after this session I can't sleep.
Yeah. Sure.
Just reading something. Can you please tell it for me? Okay, sure. So someone is asking, like, are air mattresses considered to be good? Doctor recommends for patients with osteoporosis. Severe osteoporosis, yes, because we need really, really less pressure on the spine like that. But generally, air mattresses not recommended. I'll tell you a simple way. So when you have a very soft surface, an air mattress is also like a soft surface. So if you have to get up from a soft surface, you need a lot of effort to kind of go up, because your force kind of digs into the mattress like that. Now, if someone is having severe osteoporosis, yes, for some time, and if there is a fracture around the spine and all that can be done. But generally, for someone who's old and not able to lift their own body weight, it becomes very difficult to do bed transfers like that. So there are a lot of ifs and buts into it. I think it has to be like a very highly customized answer to this. Yes. Anyone else? They want to kind of share their sleep stories? Not able to sleep.
Hi. Yeah, hi Kunal. Shelly this side. Actually, I'm the one who joined late. Okay, so मैं पूरा नहीं देख पाई आपका session, but जितना भी मैंने देखा, उसमें मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहती हूँ. I'm a sleep anemic. Okay, so due to some of my health conditions and all, I cannot sleep well. And now what is happening that from last couple of years, I'm just having maybe sometimes 2 hours sleep in the night or maybe 4 hours sleep in the night, right? And according to my pattern, that is quite enough for me. I'm 40 years now. And the another thing is, I think I have set my brain or something for the power naps. If I don't sleep in the whole night, or maybe I sleep for 2 or 3 hours in the night, or during the daytime when I'm exhausted or something, I take maybe just for 15 minutes and half an hour power nap, and that is quite enough for me. So I know it will be going to impact my health at some time, someday, right? But how can I mean get back to my this thing? I mean proper sleep and body clock and all.
Ma'am, one is if you are doing this for a long time, your body might be adapted to it. You know, it's very well adapted to. Okay, someone can be sleeping for 10 hours but still not getting good sleep because the quality of sleep matters. And someone can just sleep for 4 hours and with a really good quality, which simply means good amount of deep sleep coming, no disturbances coming and all that. And they feel suddenly refreshed like that. Okay. But still, I would say if you want to still improve, because prolonged sleep, we have to kind of gradually increase the number of sleeping hours for you. And obviously then the daytime sleep has to go away. And that's how you'll be able to do that. It's a very slow transition you have to do.
Okay.
Okay. So normally, as I was saying, exercise do help.
Yeah.
Okay. So
but
I
then
mean,
you're very much right, because I have joined some gym, and because of my schedule, I didn't able to went in the mornings. So evenings में जब भी मैं gym करती थी, maybe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, और उसके बाद automatically I'm not able to sleep till 12 or 11.
yeah.
Because that 1 hour का gymming is went, मतलब वो मेरे को इतना fresh कर देता था कि I'm again ready for a stretch of working for 11 to 10 hours.
Okay. So that's an example, ma'am. So I think if you have if you have found something is working for you, we have to very gradually go into it more and more like that. So timing of exercise is important, and we need to really know what all exercises can make you sleep and what all exercises can make the brain more excited. So that's how we kind of keep a time difference between sleep and the exercise.
Okay, fine. And उल्टा impact ये होता था कुणाल कि अगर मैं कभी morning में gym जाती हूँ, मान लो, I mean I don't know how I'm going to sound this about this. If I'm going to the gym in the morning and then after that I came back home, have my breakfast and get ready for work and reach my work, then I'm super sleepy. I mean then I'm sleepy. But if I do it in the evenings after coming from a strenuous work, this thing, and then I go to gym and I work out, and raat ko I'm super this thing, I can't, I'm not able to get this feeling. I mean,
so I think you have already found your way that then mornings are good for you for exercises then.
हाँ, लेकिन उसके बाद ऑफिस जाने के बाद नींद आती है.
As I was saying, ma'am, slow transitions are important.
I literally took 15 to half an hour break from my managers because they knew that I'm doing well. So they are like, okay, तू एक काम कर, तू जाके आधा घंटा सो जा, बाद में आके काम करियो.
Okay. Normally, power naps are good because they really make you concentrate well on your work back again. So if 10-15 minutes, totally fine, ma'am.
So if I'm not having good sleep at the night, but I'm having a power nap during the daytime, क्या वो उसको वो करता है? I mean, उसको compensate करता है या नहीं करता है?
No, it does.
Compensate
it does. It does.
Okay, so that was my concern, maybe. Yeah, thank you, Kunal. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, waiting for the next one. Sorry, I'm just reading one question, and someone can come up with the question again. I mean, someone was about to speak. Please, if you want to kind of talk.
Anything that you would recommend before going to bed? Like, what is ideally any particular procedure that helps ensuring good deep sleep, like hot showers or things
Hot
like that?
showers, definitely yes, ma'am. Hot showers can definitely help you in getting into deep sleep. And as I said, exercises which comforts the body. There can be little mobility. There can be some prolonged stretches can be done. Breathing exercises can be done. So
Right.
basically, we are trying to find out what calms down the mind. So those are the things which we are looking forward to. It can be actually anything. It can be just, it can be a little music before half an hour, 1 hour before your sleep. There can be a little short, gentle walk.
Mm.
So basically trying to say
But
some
something,
activity which, yes.
but
Yeah.
like reading a book or journaling, do you think that will activate the brain more, or because it's information after all?
Ma'am,
Emotions.
I mean, if I have to just give my example personally, I feel these things just makes me get tired too much, which induces sleep then. So maybe it's my way of inducing my sleep. So it can be totally different. It doesn't have to be a hard and fast rule. But
Okay.
what options we discussed, if something is not working for you, you can try the other thing.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, I'll just quickly read this question, ma'am. Yes, so someone was actually typing exercises releases cortisol, which keeps you awake. Should not exercise immediately before sleep, ideally 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. Yep. Okay. Yes, exercise releases endorphins. Cortisol is actually a stress hormone. So exercise is going to kill your cortisol. So if someone is under stress, the brain produces too much of cortisol. Exercises actually reduces the cortisol levels. So it becomes like a very de-stressing activity for you. And yes, obviously exercises should not be done immediately before you sleep, or don't do like late gyms, 7 o'clock gym, 8 o'clock gym. Yeah. So any other pending question? Otherwise, we'll just end up the meeting. Nice. Hope we had a good session today. You will get this the YouTube link for the whole session which we have covered, and you can actually kind of comment on that YouTube link only if you have further questions, or if you want to kind of suggest me a topic which you want me to cover. All that can be done. Please communicate on that YouTube link. It really helps me and motivates me as well. Thank you.